How's it going, people? Welcome back, welcome in, come and celebrate with me. What a fantastic show we were treated to. Not only the games we saw, but the presentation of the show as a whole was top class. I'm going to dive into all the games we saw first, and then I'll wrap it up by looking at the awards and then the event itself. This was a long show, about 3.5 hours, the first half hour of which was the pre-show. I think they called it the starring act or something, hosted by Sydney Goodman. Right at the start, we got to see the next Ninja Gaiden. Going back to the roots, this is a side scroller and it looks like a great time. The art looks super cool and I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this one. The rest of this half hour had a nice sprinkling of smaller games. We saw One Move Away, which looked a little like unboxing. Thick as Thieves, which was sort of Dishonored-like multiplayer game. Shadow Labyrinth, Steel Paws, Tales of the Shire, which is that Lord of the Rings cozy game. Stallcraft times Operations, Midnight Murder Club, Kyoto, Rematch, which was from the Sifu devs and took a massive turn from their previous game, because this game is a football game. And Solasta 2. My highlights from this section were Slay the Spire 2 and Dave the Diver in the Jungle. Slay the Spire 2 gameplay looks like it's very much sticking to the formula of what made the first game so good. There will be 2 reused classes, but 2 brand new ones. It's coming to early access in 2025. Dave the Diver in the Jungle looked like a lot of fun, taking the cast of characters from the sushi restaurant to, well, the jungle. It's unclear yet if this is a DLC or a full sequel, but it is coming late next year. Now Geoff took to the stage and the main show begun, and just wow. He definitely went all guns blazing right off the bat. The first 2 games we saw were CD Projekt Red's next game with The Witcher 4, and From Software's next game with Elden Ring Night Reign. The Witcher 4 was a full cinematic trailer, but it looked really good. It also confirmed that the protagonist would be Ciri and not Geralt, a change most would have expected after completing The Witcher 3. CD Projekt Red claims this will be a new saga of The Witcher and to expect 3 games with Ciri. I'm not really sure of their time frame for this, as I would bet on this first game being at least 4 years out, if not longer. Perhaps they will take a leaf out of RGG's book and reuse assets. Elden Ring Night Reign was a massive surprise. It seems to be using some of Elden Ring's map, but also some new areas too. This is focused on multiplayer and seems to explore team boss battles. You can do it solo, although this option is suggested to be very difficult. To confirm, this is not a DLC, this is a standalone game that will be separate to Elden Ring itself. On the blog post, Bandai Namco say that you and your buddies will be enduring a 3-day and night cycle in which you must strategize and survive. The nights shrink the map and every night cycle will end with a big boss. This makes it sound like it has roguelike elements, which is a completely new style for them. There also seem to be some bosses from previous games, as I'm sure I saw the Nameless King from Dark Souls 3 and the Gaping Dragon from Dark Souls 1 in the trailer. It sounds fascinating and I can't wait to give it a try when it hits next year. After that big opening, things settled a bit, but it was a much needed breather. We saw Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming to PC in January, which would mean less than a year exclusivity. An Indiana Jones promo, Catly, a Path of Exile 2 promo, a sweet cinematic of the next game from the Shadow of Colossus developer, which looked intriguing, and then probably the most quality trailer of the show, The Outer Worlds 2. This trailer had everything: gameplay, comedy, and a release window. Obsidian have said this will be much bigger than the original game, which I love by the way, and their whole portfolio is a narrative masterclass, so expect no different here. The biggest surprise is that they slapped a 2025 release window on this, which means Obsidian will be releasing 2 massive single-player games next year, with Avowed hitting in February. I stand by that they are the best studio Xbox have, so you should definitely look out for this one. It will also be releasing on all platforms like the first game did. The next game was another pleasant surprise as Joseph Fares took the stage to unveil Split Fiction. Hazelight's last game, It Takes Two, won the Game of the Year back in 2021, and this game is another co-op adventure. It looks incredible, as the game constantly flips between 2 worlds. One protagonist sports a fantasy world, and the other sci-fi, and it seems to switch between these constantly during levels. Split Fiction was bursting with creativity, and I was really impressed by its showing. It drops this coming March, so not a long wait either. This was followed by showings of Fragpunk, Killing Floor 3, Steel Hunters, which looked exactly like a Transformers game, Black Frost The Long Dark 2, and then out comes Randy Pitchford to show off Borderlands 4. We did see some gameplay here and it looked like a Borderlands game. I'm sure it will be fun enough like the other games, but it didn't seem to be doing anything different or inventive to advance on the existing formula. We will just have to see how this one is received when it drops late 2025. We then saw Clive from Final Fantasy 16 crossed with Tekken, Splitgate 2, a Dragon Age The Veilguard promo, Mecha Break, again, I feel like this game always shows up at events this year, Star Wars Outlaws promo with the classic Ubisoft sale price, an inevitable Fortnite promo, and then we got a really interesting section. Firstly, RGG Studio hit us with back-to-back new releases, and neither of them were a Yakuza game. The first was a new Virtua Fighter. This arcade classic is still currently unnamed, and there is no release window on it, but it had a cool cutscene. I'm sure the fighting game community liked this one. The other showing was more interesting to me. Project Century. This looked dark, gritty, and definitely had a gruesome combat focus. It takes place in 1915 in what looks like Japan, and it is an over-the-shoulder third-person game with really great-looking combat. It's bloody, it's vibrant, and it just had all the vibes. There was no release date on this one, but RGG just can't stop making games, it seems. They are an absolute wonder. Next was a big surprise with Turok Origins. Not counting the vastly unpopular side game Escape from the Lost Valley, this would be the first Turok game since the reboot in 2008. It also will be third person, unlike the traditional first person seen previously in the franchise. There will be multiplayer co-op integrated into the campaign supporting up to 3 players. Hopefully it sees a return to form whenever this game is ready to come out. Lastly, in this fun section was Helldivers 2 update Omens of Tyranny. Presented in classic Arrowhead fashion with a guy in full Helldiver gear, this game has a loving community, and it's easy to see why when the devs clearly love it too. There's a new enemy faction, new landscapes, and a new vehicle for anyone who wants to dive into hell. Then there was a whirlwind of updates. Warframe 1990, Palworld update, Wuthering Waves promo. Then Capcom did what Capcom does and revealed the new Onimusha title, Way of the Sword. This trailer was a standout for me. Holy shit, it was so cool. It has dark fantasy tones and it certainly boasts gory combat. I've never played an Onimusha game, but based off that trailer, I'm gonna have to go back and play them all in preparation for when this drops in 2026. One of the only games revealed in this show that had that year tagged onto it. Next was another slew of games. First, Berserker Kazan got a March release date. This one is high on my list. Arad, another dungeon fighter game. We got more of a look at Dying Light the Beast. Post Malone weirdly popped up with his own game called Post Malone's Murder Circus. Ballistic, a really weird looking Squid game. Stage Fright from the Overcooked devs. Game of Thrones King's Road, which is a story-driven action RPG, releasing on mobile. It is sad how little respect this franchise seems to get. Monster Hunter Now, Double Dragon Revive, Solo Leveling Arise, Screamer. The Last of Us Part 2 is coming to PC next year. This is a game that will never miss an opportunity to turn up at a gaming event every single year. Den of Wolves, Zenless Zone Zero promo, Honkai Star Rail promo, Fortnite again, Sonic Racing. It is definitely the year of Shadow. And then we finally got a much longer look at Mafia: The Old Country. This was a big reveal at Gamescom back in August. This was an in-engine, narrative-driven cinematic trailer which focuses on the new protagonist you will play as, Enzo. We will be playing this crime thriller in Sicily in the 1900s next summer, which was much earlier than I had anticipated. An Infinity Nikki promo popped up. Then we saw Dispatch, which was a gorgeous looking game starring Aaron Paul and Laura Bailey and a whole other swath of stars. It is being made by some of the people from Telltale and looks like a narrative story that will be worth the investment. Then there was a whole production to announce that Okami is returning. the beloved classic PlayStation 2 game. I'm excited to see how amazing the art style looks on current systems, although it has no release date, so it might even be future systems. Crimson Desert got a release date with late 2025, which officially makes 2025 insanely stacked. And then, to conclude, the massive one last thing. Naughty Dog revealed their new IP. It wasn't the next Uncharted, it wasn't The Last of Us 3, instead it was Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. This was a full cinematic, so there is no way of telling what this game will actually play like or how far out it is, but it gave us a nice feel to the atmosphere of the game. It has been in development since 2020 and stars Jordan A. Munn, who is the protagonist we see in the trailer. She is a space bounty hunter and the whole world, or rather universe, is dripping in retro space feel. It is very Cowboy Bebop with the cool bomber jackets, the Porsche spaceships, the CDs, the light up Adidas kicks, and the retro sound system. Speaking of, the soundtrack is a collaboration with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. I imagine we'll get more details at next year's PlayStation event, but if I were to guess, I'd expect this to be around late 2026, 2027. That was all the games we saw, and by my count, it was a showing of 65 games, of which there were plenty of world premieres. How did my predictions do? Well, if you watched my video, you'd know that my predictions were pretty far off. Of my release date predictions, only the first Berserker Kazan got one. Of my big reveals, I got the new From Software game and the big new IP reveal from PlayStation, although in both cases, they were not what I was originally thinking. I didn't expect an Elden Ring game, and I didn't expect Naughty Dog. I was, however, 4 for 4 on my predictions of what wouldn't show up, as we didn't see a GTA 6, an Elder Scrolls or Fallout remake, anything regarding the Switch 2, or Hollow Knight Silksong. The Game Awards 2024 was such an amazing show, and had something for everyone. It was, in my opinion, the best show Geoff has ever done. But that isn't just because of the game reveals, but the show as a whole. First off, the presentation was top class, as we have seen it be in the last couple of years as it becomes a really high budget outfit. Geoff really seemed to listen to all the criticisms held at him over the last couple of years. No devs got played off stage, all speeches were given their time to be seen through. Geoff acknowledged the turmoil that the industry faces now and even introduced a new award for Game Changer, which was won by Amir Satvat and was a perfectly emotional moment. The Muppets were back and they were utilised perfectly to take a dig at Geoff about all of his errors and his mistakes and make a joke out of it, which was beautifully well placed. The Kojima joke had me cracking up. There wasn't a smattering of celebrities that seemed out of place. All of them that were there were promoting a game that they were in. The music performances were also great. From the orchestra, which is always fantastic, to the arcane medley with 21 Pilots, and then Snoop Dogg doing his thing. The Game Awards 2024 as a show was a complete package that was vastly improved on all of Geoff's previous events, and I have to congratulate him for that. Now, let's do a quick winners roundup. Game Changer, Amir Satbat. I urge anyone who cares about gaming to watch this section. Global Gaming Citizens, Laura Carter. Esports Team, T1. Esports Game, League of Legends. Esports Player, Faker. Content Creator, Queso. Best Adaptation, Fallout TV Show. Most Anticipated, GTA 6. Action Adventure, Astrobot. Strategy Game, Frostpunk 2. VR, Batman Arkham Shadows. Accessibility, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Sports Racing, EA Sports FC 25. Performance, Melina Jurgens, Hellblade 2. RPG, Metaphor ReFantazio. Fighting, Tekken 8. Audio Design, Hellblade 2. Games for Impact, Never. Family Game, Astrobot. Multiplayer, Helldivers 2. Debut Indie, Balatro. Community Support, Baldur's Gate 3. Score Soundtrack, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Indie Game, Balatro. Art Direction, Metaphor ReFantazio. Narrative, Metaphor ReFantazio. Ongoing Game, Helldivers 2. Action Game, Black Myth Wukong. Best Game Direction, Astrobot. Mobile Game, Balatro. Player's Voice, Black Myth Wukong. And Game of the Year, Astrobot. Astrobot got 4 awards, Metaphor and Balatro got 3. Helldivers 2, Black Myth Wukong, and Hellblade 2 all took home 2 awards. Congratulations to all the teams and the great games this year. I thought it was a very well presented and enjoyable celebration to gaming, and I hope it continues to elevate in this way in the years to come. I will be doing my own Game of the Year show later in December, so look forward to that. But for now, let me know in the comments below what you thought about all the reveals and the awards, and the show as a whole. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe, and for everything casual gamer, keep it here. Peace and love.